Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Don't you like when you have the perpetrator, the criminal, confessing his crime? Yeah. Alright, well we got now Reznikov, the Minister of Defense of Ukraine. He's not a criminal, let's put it aside. But he's going to confess something that we had no doubts about. And that is Ukraine being a de facto NATO member. Not de jure, de facto. De jure is legal, de facto, it's a reality. It's actually what happens. So, Mr. Reznikov has the balls, he should, anyway, he comes and says, you know what, actually Ukraine is part of NATO as we speak right now. And he kind of make a point, and I totally agree with that point. And I will explain why he's right. Because he's not going to make such a good, not a complete, how should I put it, testimony. He's going to be, I don't know, halfway, but enough to make a point. But I will complete his testimony just to make sure that there's no misunderstandings here. All right, this article comes from Ukrinform and is from today, the 13th of January 2023. And this is the title. Ukraine is a de facto member of NATO. Reznikov. Yes, thank you very much. Before that, I should start with Shalom. Ukraine has de facto already joined NATO, although it has not formally become a member of the military alliance. Correct. Correct. Remember, these guys are trying to get Finland and Sweden in NATO. Turkey might block all that. And I told you, NATO will weasel things around and they will say they will create something new where they will not need a new policy, that they will not need Turkey's approval. They will need maybe a majority. They will do something extra. And they will not call, let's say, Finland and Sweden as NATO members. They would call it Chichi members. Okay? And Chichi members are under the umbrella of NATO. What Chichi is? I don't know, we just invented something, so they're ours. Right? Very easy. What the hell? Now, Ukraine's defense minister Oleksiy Reznikov said this in an interview with the BBC. And I'm quoting, Ukraine as a country and the armed forces of Ukraine became a member of NATO. De facto, not de jure, by law, because we have weaponry and the understanding of how to use it. I'm sure that in the near future we'll become a member of NATO de jure, he said. Reznikov denied that his comments would be seen as controversial. No, I don't think so. Only weasels are going to be surprised. Weasels that are just read their news from that side, you know what I mean? Not only by Russia, but perhaps by NATO itself, as the alliance has taken steps not to be seen as a party to the conflict. Yeah, that's a weasel way. I'm going to fight you, but not directly. I'm going to fight you with weasels. And I don't get injured, just you get injured. But no, you can't hit me. I'm not involved. It says, Reznikov also said he was sure Ukraine would receive long-sought weapons, including tanks and fighter jets, as both Ukraine and Russia seem to be preparing for new offensives in the spring. Remember, fighter jets and tanks. You receive the tanks as we speak, and you will receive the fighter jets, I guarantee you that. If the war doesn't end in about 2 months. If the war ends before 2 months, these guys will not have time to deliver those to you. But to go through all the process to get us ready, the weasels. Hey, how about tanks? Do you think tanks? Oh, how about aircraft, fighter jets? I don't know. No, yeah, they got about 2 months, and after 2 months, they're gonna say, yeah, let's do it. Like they did with everything. The same with the howitzers, with HIMARS, with tanks, with everything. They did the same. The mountain slope model. Remember it. Now, let's see what's going on here. How Ukraine is de facto a NATO member. The information that I got from many other sources, and I'm going to use this source so I don't have anybody saying, hey, Emil, you're dreaming. NATO commanders and contractors are operating in Ukraine. This is what retired U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor said on multiple occasions. He said, NATO commanders are in charge of this. They provide with this and that and that. First, that's what he said many times. And the second one, he said, for using, for instance, to operate HIMARS, you need contractors. You can't have the Ukrainians just learn like that to ride the bike. It's not the same. And we're going to have the Patriot systems. Supposedly you have 100 Ukrainians training in Oklahoma to operate one Patriot system missile battery, which requires about 80. And it requires a few months, I think 6 months, to train these guys. But since that guys are geniuses, they will do it in about 2 weeks. Wink, wink. Anyway, it's another one. United States has inspectors, if you remember, in Ukraine, checking out where the weapons are going. About 1,000 of them or so. They have military advisors who just stay over there, walk like this, and tell the Ukrainians, yes, put that over there, yes, yes, Sergei, yes, Ivan, don't do that over there, okay, Alexei, don't do that, no, they're shooting at us. Oh, they're shooting at us, at us, I can't use anything, I'm unarmed. Ah, he shot me. Yeah, okay, that's how we're supposed to think these advisors and inspectors are, because they have advisors as well. They're not actively involved in anything, guaranteed. Cross my heart, hope to die yesterday. Now, you have volunteers. Volunteers, I suspect, as a weasel Romanian born, that with that kind of mentality, which those guys are sharing, and not only, I assume that these volunteers, foreign volunteers, are volunteers when they enter Ukraine, but before they enter Ukraine, they sign other papers with other entities, if you know what I mean. So when they get caught or killed in Ukraine, and these guys check their paperwork over there dead, oh, he's a volunteer of Ukrainian International Volunteering, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, really. Well, I would do that way, and I'm just a weasel. Imagine these guys that are involved in don't think that way. I mean, that means they're dumb. Anyway, I would say, because it's just a easy way to bypass. Yeah, there. Okay, there's another thing. So you got trainers, right? Advisors. You got inspectors. You got weapons, tanks. You got everything over there. Weapons, ammunition. You got the economic boycott. You got a financial boycott. You got the energy boycott, or sanctions, however you want to call them. You got the commanding officers over there helping. They got intelligence, the satellite in intelligence telling them who's who, what's what. You send them HIMARS, you send them NASAMS, you send them Patriot, you send them now Bradleys, I'm sorry, the infantry armored vehicles, Americans I'm talking about. I'm not talking about only about that. France send them those light tanks, AMX-10R something, tanks, because they're on rubber wheels. That's why they're called light tanks, because they're light, but the cannon is there as a tank. These guys, Challenger 2, send. The Brits, the Poles sent so far 240 T-72 tanks, Soviet, Russian made, 240. Slovenia sent 80 tanks, T-72. Slovakia, I think, sent. Czech Republic sent. Finland wants to send Leopard tanks. Poland sends Leopard tanks. Germany will send Leopard tanks. So what are you talking about? Who's doing this to whom? If you're not member de facto of the organizations, what are you? Lovers? What would be the other option? I mean, please. And this guy's NATO is going to have a meeting, I don't know, these days or in February. I think next week or this week. NATO will show up in I think one is going to be in Lithuania. I don't know if it's going to be in Kiev as well. What is that doing over there? Why is not the United Nations having a little session in Kiev, but NATO? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think that's absolutely correct what Reznikov said. And the fact that he said it over there is the same, the mountain slope model that I use. They start little, they get you ready, and in the end they tell you something that we knew a few months ago. They get you ready, that's what it is, because they can't tell you right now, oh, we're going to attack those. Oh, whoa, 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 take it easy. No, no, no. They have to make the case, you know, provide all kind of information. Those guys are war criminals, those guys are raping kids and women, kill everybody all the time. That's all what they target. And after they create this kind of public opinion, they say, hey, we're going to send tanks. Oh, I guess. Anyway, all right. And about the jure signed, I don't think is gonna Ukraine will join NATO unless it's only one scenario under which Ukraine will join NATO, and that is if the current leadership of Russia, which let's take about 80 people, those 80 people somehow are out like disappear, if you know what I mean, not by their own decision, but you know what I mean. Those are gone. And all of a sudden, overnight, you have weasels appointed on those positions, and you have the second tier of commanders not follow orders of the new ones. Because if you can be a general and you give your order to a colonel, and the colonel said, yeah, stand by, don't do anything, you know, he can give orders to whomever. I am the one that your orders go through, or go to another guy who's going to do the same thing. He's not going to call the military over there, the peasant by the battery, say, hey, Gigi, launch that missile, man. No, it's not going to be like that. That has to go to the chain of command. And if in the chain of command that's a break or 2 breaks or 3 breaks, the order will not get there, not going to be followed, obeyed. Got that? Capisci? Understand? Alright, so that's how things are going. So it's not only that you're going to change Putin, Lavrov, and whoever is over there. No. The whole guys, and you think that those military guys who would understand what happened, they will say, yeah, okay, let me take my pants down, bend over, and you do it. It's not going to go that way. You're going to have a lot of generals who will refuse the new authority. And some of them will have access to nuclear weapons. Then what? Reznikov. So this will be the only, I don't even know how to expand it to that when Russia would be really decapitated, like really decapitated, and the Americans take over everything. Military, economy, police or law enforcement, politic, I think they will not make the political system and so on. That will be the only way. That's how Russia loses. Other than that, I don't see. Nuclear weapons, what are you going to do about it? They can't lose if the guys stay in charge over there. So yeah, only then you can join NATO. And how are you going to join NATO when you have problems with other countries? I tell you how. I just told you at the beginning. They will create a Lulu, Kuku, Muku, Muku little definition term for the new members that are not members but are members. And they will sign some paper and you are ours. Like for instance the Europeans do with the ascending members to the European Union. So you are in the you're in Schengen states where you have the euro as a currency. Then you have the European Union. And then you have members that aspire to become. Those are actually, that triggers, that points out to everybody else, those are our future vassal states. Keep off. Stay away from it. That's basically what these guys, they want to be part of the European Union. Like, for instance, Serbia, the same, another few other countries over there in the Balkans, they want to be in the European Union. They're not there yet, but they're triggers that nobody else can have any interest, like Russia or China, inside that. Why? Because they are ours. It's going to be our interest. Remember how that was called? Lebensraum? What the Germans said, they need land, living space. That's what Hitler said, and the Nazis. We need living space. We need places, territories to expand our economy, our way of life, our values. Remember? That's why they pushed guys out and they say, okay, we're going to keep the Poles to work for us or something. We're going to keep the Russians, we're going to push them real away from Ural Mountains there. They have nothing to do over here. We're going to take their resources. We're going to probably keep some to work for us. The Lebensraum, the same here. We're going to keep the Romanians work for us. We're going to keep the Serbs work for us. We're going to keep these guys, and we're going to give them something from the European Union. And they will be happy with that. Because why? We are very simple beings. If we have food, if you have sex, if you have a little bit of warmth, if you have water, that's kind of, enough for you. That's all I need. But that's all. Give them sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Give them television, and give them sex and give them alcohol or drugs the same way, or medication, prescribed medication, because they will diagnose 90% of the population as being, I don't know, something, and then give them that and see, keep them like this, and they're going to be like zombies. I go to work, enough to be able to go to work, that's a problem. Or they're going to have the other ones work for them until these guys are waning away. But the problem is these guys are going to and create others like them. And then what? No. Anyway, yeah, they're not a part de jure, but they are de facto. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.